Oh, I need my microphone up in the right place. Whoops. Hello. Welcome. My name's John Skippy Limcool. Welcome to a new live stream. Glad to see you all. Welcome. I hope you all are having a great day. We have a new library to play with that I can't wait to show you guys. Let's see. I don't think the graphics are showing up in the multi. Well, it could if I went here. No, I haven't put them in multis yet. It's still gray here, but check this out. If you go to the patches and let's say this bass. Yeah, there we go. It's showing up. So this is beautifully broken. It's a new library that I'm working on that, hey there, welcome. Welcome, guys. Seeing people start to show up in the chat, so that's nice. Yeah, this is something kind of cool. I was playing with, I've sampled the daylights out of my Waldorf Pulse, and the sounds are really cool. And the ability to load drum loops and use granular is something I wanted to explore. Getting it, instead of the OMG libraries, it's like, you know, 4 or 5 patches to get a drum loop going. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm glad we can do that. But it'd be cool if it was like a little bit more simpler, right? So we now, so these are broken patches, meaning I've purposefully dirtified them. Given them, they're not pristine, perfect patches like all my other libraries, no. But I wanted to do something that was in a different kind of a place. We don't all write music that needs to be, you know, there's so many places to use these. So this is Omnisphere by itself. All by itself. It's Omnisphere. So anyway, this is what we'll look more at. I'll show you some more of the patches. If I can, I'm actually going to try to get my pulse playing. So yes, I still have a pulse. So you can hear some of the samples there. I can show you the samples, how they sound over here. Oh, I brought a note. E flat. Cool. I'll play E flat. I'm glad you brought that note along, Willway. Yeah, the artwork is actually a work in progress. We're going to be tweaking it a little bit, but excuse me. We have Matt Chowsky. That's actually a 3D model, and then I did some stuff to make it even more broken than it was that we're working on. Hey guys, welcome to all of you. Good to see you. Whether it's night or day or afternoon or whatever, welcome. Everything sound good? You guys can hear everything right? I'm just working on making sure my levels are right for everything. Hey, Bernie. Bernie. So let's get this here. We can get this volume up just a little bit more. So here, I'll show you a couple other multis. Well, yeah, I'll show you the Always Have Hope. This is nice. You might recognize that melody from Chocolate. That beautiful. Just Omnisphere. And then this is really cool. So this is using, if you guys are familiar, I showed this last week. This patch, Box of Chocolates, is one of those that I did for this. Let's see here, beautifully broken Box of Chocolates. I took this and I replaced that melody with a pulse sample that I had sampled. I'm including just a small collection of pulse patches, but they're going to be nestled into these programs. They're not going to be by themselves per se beautiful. Everything here is broken for a certain, so when you come to these, anything that says wicked, these are pulse patches. You can do serious damage. I'm going to be showing you the very first Plugin Guru MIDI effect that was made available this week. I worked with Shane Dunn, and check this out. This is really cool. He said, how about if we do this? And I was like, really? You would put the Plugin Guru logo. I'm going to host it on my website, make it available to everybody. Check this out. Are you ready? First time. Plugin Guru. There's actually Show MIDI, but it's a little broken, so we're not going to get to that one quite yet. Shane, yeah, is Shane here? Shane should be here, right? But look at ModMate, boom. Look at that logo. Plugin Guru in the house. So, and we've greatly expanded this, and I'll get more into it, but you can right click and you can take any input MIDI CC number and route it to any output MIDI CC number. So you can take some old keyboard that's got some slider. You don't have to edit the software for that keyboard, which is always a pain, major pain in the ass to do that. For example, this is controller 52. If I wanted to, I can right click right here and I say controller 52 and boom, it pops up. So now I can say, okay, I want that to go out to controller 11, which is your expression, your volume, right? Click this button, boom. Now I am sending out controller 11 instead of the input of 52. And I can do that to 4. And then you can go up here and you can save it as a preset, so you can call up different presets for different effects. It's really cool. It's free. I just sent out a mailing list, so the URL to download it is in the mailing list. If you get my mailing list, it's there for you to see. I'll post it in the chat here. In fact, I think it might still show here. Yeah, same link as what's in my current chat. Let me update my dates here. So modification, okay, that's fine. So that's coming. I'll show you more of that to get more into some of the other things you can do with it. But it's really handy and helpful. And it was really kind of Shane to say, hey, let's put your logo on it and you host it and put it available. Because he originally designed it for the Airwave libraries, and I'm carrying on the Airwave tradition, and a lot of you don't have 4 sliders and controllers and stuff. And so this, I'll show you when we get to talking about it, let you do that. But anyway, always have hope. I replaced that lead sound that was a simple sound with the pulse sample. For some reason, the drum loop's not loading. Let's see, load it one more time. Oh. I hear it really softly. That's really weird. What? Hold on a second here. Okay, what's going on? Oh, 52 is expression. And I was sending that out on ModMate, right? So there we go. My own effect was, okay, turn that off so it doesn't do that anymore. There. So we'll get, I'm like, why are all the drums so soft? Because expression is one of those things that's separate than MIDI volume. It's like a global control for volume. There. Anyway, so this uses the pulse sample. And up high, I have really cool effect things that are cool transitions. Sometimes champions. This is really fun. So these are drum loops that are included in this library that have been granularized, which means I can take the tempo and check this out. Playing a drum loop, my friends. And it sounds really good. I got it to be really smooth. On top of this, there's a B layer. The broken, dirty stuff. So you can do all sorts of really cool things with the controllers. Make it clean or dirty. And the dirt's coming from noise. It's being manipulated with all sorts of LFOs and stuff going on. So you can go in here, make it different noise, make it mono, make it really stereo. All sorts of fun things. I love all the big bands. And what's fun, I'm able to play this with lots of chords and stuff because playing a loop, I'm using, by the way, the Legacy granular engine. If I use the full power, it's a whole different vibe and it takes up like, watch the CPU meter here. So we'll have it just playing along. Then I hit, oh. Takes up more processing power to use that. And it's a little bit more tricky to, you bring down the intensity. I couldn't get quite the vibe as so somewhere in there, and so these are, I'm having a great time with these. Aren't these fun? Yeah, that's right. You gave me the tip. That's right. So here we go. Unsure Horizon is another one that I've made. So these are fun. I've got probably another 20 more multis to make. We're up to almost 80 patches. So it's coming out really great. Let me show you some of the basic patches just to show what's going on here. And it's been fun. Hope you guys like this vibe. You know, Valentine's Day is coming. We need sounds to make love songs with, right? So if you're familiar with Boards of Canada, I tried to copy bass sounds. But everything has dirt. And as the module comes up in a lot of cases, you get that dirt to be even more intense. Or you can go over here, there's a special LFO that's playing with the wave shaper. You can use that. Go over here if you wanted to hit the wave shaper. So you can get into all lands of dirt. So this is the anti-clean library. It's for lovers that like, you know, whatever. So anyway, the Wicked. Let me show you. Oh, it's so exciting. I get really excited when I show some of this stuff. Right? Pulse of Life, some of these. I mean, it's just begging to be. Things like that. Tossed About from the Wind. Get to the drums in a minute. There's a whole Canadian series. If you guys have any Canadian phrases, let me share them. I want some more Canadian pads and stuff like this. So I've got apple, bacon, Canadian lovers, Canadian Rockies. I need like Canadian skies would be a good one. There's got to be some other ones in there I'm not thinking about. Left Side Drive. This, if you know Boards of Canada, this is the chord progression that they. So I love that kind of stuff. The effects. Yeah, a patch named This is really cool, the noisy piano. And this is using the MT240 piano and Dream piano and then messing them up. So I love you so much. Come back to me today. I love you so much. But there's other ones. Again, nothing clean. This is all about and you can add more dirt. All that kind of stuff. There's some crispy leads and I did sing. And then these are really cool. These are taking phrases from the library. And you can go to the granular page to position. You can lock it, and then you go here and tune it. Right? So we did these to jazzy voices. I wanted to get more solo-y, but that'd be more... stuff like that. I was trying to use the legacy, but... even with maximum smoothing, it falls apart. So those didn't work out quite right. Really cool pads. All in all, a new library called Beautifully Broken. Correct. Because everything is got broken qualities, and by moving the controllers, you can break it even more. Okay, so yes, this will be coming out probably about the time of the NAMM show, a little bit before the NAMM show. Then there's Bigger Bo Peep. When the Heart is Crying is perfect for Valentine's Day. Some cool synthy things. We've got a... right? Then the drums. And let me show you these real quickly. There's a whole bunch of drum loops that are both presented clean and dirty for now. There might be more added to this. So the clean is just layer A. A lot more Dudley Do-Right. Cool. Alberta Grains. I like that. Frozen River. And then dirty. And there's all sorts of places with the distortion. I'm using a lot of high-pass filter distortion, where you can bring up the distortion and then limit what it touches. And you can manipulate these in such cool ways with the controllers that are set. So, and the cool thing about this, let's go back to clean. Because it's using granular, you can play it up and down the keyboard. It will change pitch, but it's still in time. Up high, it's going to fall apart because in the space of that allotted chunk of time, it's getting in some additional hi-hats and other things, which can be a cool broken effect. A lot of people like to do this kind of stuff, you know. This makes it that much more broken if you do that. Okay, so there's Bigly, there's Get It. Okay. Inside the zipper, mod mate, and show MIDI VST. Yeah, I think he might have show MIDI included in the zip. Someone's talking in chat about the zip file stuff. We're still working on that because, like I said, there's actually two effects that say plug and groove, but right now the show MIDI has a small problem in that once you start moving the controllers, they show up over here. And maybe that's how it's supposed to work, which I guess is okay. But we'll have to, I just wanted to confirm, check that out. So I didn't put that up with a link yet. I wanted to talk to Shane about that. But ModMate is right here. And so we'll talk about that in just a second. So let's finish this up. There's some more loops. And then as a bonus for when you get the library, these are included as WAV files and RX2, so you can load them into Stylus RMX, which will be fun. And all the stems. I'm going to give you all the separate stems of everything too. Okay, so these are fun, and I'm gonna make multis using all of them. I like this one. Yeah, just copy the files over the old ones. On the Mac, there's a thing you might have to do, because if you've installed it before and it says Shane done, sometime I had to go through and delete and then reanalyze all of the plugins, which took a while because there's over 600 plugins in my audio units folder. But in order to get the plugin guru to show up instead of Shane done. So it depends on if it shows up when you're on the PC. It should work straight ahead, I would think. But if they are super flexible in Omnisphere already, what would you use RMX for? Well, so the one thing that's, well, let's do it this way. Let's go over here, hide this. The main difference is fidelity. The audio quality inside of Stylus RMX is far better because it's a better engine playing. Granular is chopping it into little pieces. And so it does have a drop in fidelity, which is why I made a broken library, because I can't make it with like really nice, cool, big, impressive drum loops and stuff like that. But I started loading the broken stuff in. I was like, oh, this is really cool with this stuff. So, like, for example, here's weekday, right? So let me take weekday. Where's weekday? Here's the full mix. Let's drag it in here. Import. Okay, so here's what it sounds like. Sounds much better, right? Then here it's kind of broken and stuff. And that's kind of what started me down the path. I was like, okay, that'd be really cool with other broken sounds. So if I took this and I'll turn on stack and I can load up one of my groove maps. But remember the groove maps of the old? Nope, now I need to make a new groove map that's just simplified because it's just one sample. So it's a much easier groove map. It's not 5 patches to make one OMG groove work. It's just a loop. But yes, it's audio fidelity is what you're at. So if I go weekday, and if you load up the patch, it's down 2 octaves. So tune it up to there. It's cool with this vibe. I mean, it's nice. But hear how clean it is? That's because of it being just an audio file that was recorded and mixed out nice and all that kind of stuff. It's a difference with the audio that you're looking for. Yeah, it's what are you looking for? If you want more the vibey kind of thing, that's what you get here. Stylus RMX is going to give you the ability to use chaos, to change the timing of it around, to use all the effects that are in there, and it's on higher quality audio. And you'll have the stems available, so you can use just a hi-hat and this and the kick from another one and do all sorts of things with that you can't do here. So that will be fun when I get that all put together. So it's a fun library. It's still in the works. Maybe at the end of this, we'll make a multi together. So we'll stop right there on this. If you have any questions, pop them up. I'm going to show Airwave Volume 3 for a second with ModMate, just to help you guys see how that works. So let's go over here to a BPM split. Oh, we're in patches. As it scrolls for 500 patches, I'm like, yeah, we must be in patch land. So go over here. Let's say we want to use like Lost in Transition. So this is one, as you'll see, it's using 1, 2, 3, 4, all of these drum, 3 different drum patches. And because of how this is set up, it kills CPU. It's so sad. There's just a lot of complex effect things happening in here. But I want to show you ModMate real quick. So if you don't have some sort of hardware controller, and if I'd recommend looking at something, either physical faders or you can use knobs. It's a little harder to control this. But even if you don't, this is where this comes in really handy, because this has pitch bend up, down, and CC1, which is your modulation wheel. As you move these, you can see they're live and active. I want to make sure my camera is showing you. I can actually, let's do this. Let's call up a different preset where it's just. So this is, and let's see, I can add the Mac display here, and then I'm going to shrink it. I love this software. This software is so cool for this. So if I go like this, and then if I grab this and shrink it, so I can have this so you see what's going on here as I'm moving this, right? So pitch bend down, pitch bend up, and mod wheel are happening, right? It's really, let's do this. Let's make this a little bit smaller and move that over here, and then this can get bigger and then come over here so you can see what's going on. So I can take, and very easily, I've got these other MIDI CCs, right? And here's what their outputs are. And we've set up these 4 inside of Omnisphere for MIDI CC 1. 2. You can hear the things changing in the sounds. 3. So you can do all these cool things. And then 4 is, right? It's really fun to have 4 because of how powerful Omnisphere is. Having just the mod wheel has always been kind of a limiting factor. Because if you go to anything inside of the engine of Omnisphere and you right click on it to assign a controller to it, it actually has this controller page, which, oh, it's hard to see that. Let me move this over here like this. If I click on this, it has this actually modulate with controller. These are all real-time MIDI CC controllers. You could have over 10 different controllers changing aspects of the sound. And because you have FM, ring mod, wave shapers, unison, granular, all of these effects, all the filters, envelopes, there's all sorts of things that can be changed in real time. So to have 4 things just makes it that much more like, wow, look at all these things you can do to the sounds. And when you're doing DJ kind of things like this, I mean, it's great to do it. Right? I mean, it's really fun. If you don't have something with the faders, but you do have, everybody has a MIDI for modulation. If you want, all you have to do is click these little boxes to the right, and now it's sending out those on this lane. If I wanted to see how it's now sending them all. So now as I play, it's doing them all. That's kind of like what we did with all the OMG libraries. The mod wheel is doing so much. If you break it down to how many parameters that modulation wheel is changing, it's huge. And to divide it with 4 different faders just makes sense. But if you don't have that, you can use this to get it back to just being on your mod wheel, just by clicking these. And because for the most part in this type of a setting, you're not using pitch bend much. Well, Shane did it so that this will override pitch bend. So I could have these two on one pitch bend direction, these on another pitch bend direction, and this just on the mod wheel. In fact, I don't even have to check it because the mod wheel, if you don't check it, it just goes through whatever it is. So now pitch bend up. See how it's changing 2 controllers? So now you can use your pitch bend and your mod wheel and route them to the 4 controllers. So you don't have to have this. You can unplug it, get rid of it, and just use these. So, yeah, let's see here. I gotta make sure I forgot to turn that off. So any questions? Let me check chat. I haven't checked for a few minutes. Yeah, the machine jam, not jazz, it's jam, J-A-M. Let's see if you can also CC assign a lot of this from within Omnisphere too. Yeah, you can reroute things. If you go to the page that's showing you anything that you see that says breath controller or foot controller or soft pedal, you could click here and easily just change it to wheel. And now you're back to just using your modulation wheel. So you just go through the list. It's now one of these things you can't even edit on another layer. I don't know if you guys realize this, but one thing they did with Omnisphere 2.5. Let me get back to where you see it full screen because this is important to show. Let's see here, webcam. Yeah, so let's get this over here and get mod made up and get this up for chat. Anyway, this can be added to Airwave 1 and 2. You can go in and program it if you want. I'm not at this moment. That's a lot of work to go into each patch and multi and reroute things. Maybe, but that it's doubtful. It's one of those things. Let's call up an Airwave Volume 1. I'll show you how to do it. If you want to do this, let's go multi Airwave Volume 1. Let's call up something like Art of Tramp. Okay. So you go to each patch. Oh, I was going to show you something. We'll do this in a second. I was going to show you this. This is important to show too. So if we go to one of these big things in the multis, Airwave Volume 3, because Airwave likes to use all 4 patches. I like to use all 4 patches too. So one thing that they did that's important to point out in the programming sense, let me make sure this is centered so that you can see real clearly. If you go to a patch that's using all 4 layers and you hit the modulation page to see the list, it will only show you things that are assigned to that layer, not everything. And when you go to this page here, you no longer can even change things that are not part of that layer, which is pretty cool. So it makes it so that when you're looking at the modulation list, when you go A, oh, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. It shows you the things that are assigned to A. So you can go here, say, instead of breath controller, saying just the wheel. Now, as an opposite, if you're looking at a patch in Airwave Volume 1 or 2 and you see wheel, 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 you just need to go some things to breath controller, oh, not pitch bender, but breath controller, and something to foot controller. And now you've told those to be 1, 2, and 4, because MIDI CC 1 is if we pull up our little show MIDI list, our mod mate here. Hello. If you right click on any of the CC numbers and it pops up the master list. And you can see that 2 is recognized as breath controller on the MIDI spec list. Foot controller is 4. Modulation wheel is 1, which is what we start with. And then 67 is soft pedal, on and off. We're using it as a variable. But I went, last night I checked, I was curious. I went through Keyscape, and as far as I can tell, nothing in Keyscape is even using soft pedal. So it is an unused MIDI CC. So the rule is this: you can't right click on pitch bend up and down. They just are assigned to pitch bend up and down. But CC 1, 2, 4, and 67 can be changed. If you right click, you can take here's what you do. If you have your MIDI DAW setup, most of these will show you MIDI input. If I move a fader, this is 52, this is 53, 54, right? If you have some hardware that's got a slider, turn the slider and see if it registers in your DAW as a MIDI CC. And then you can just go over to ModMate, and this is 52. So if I change this to be 52, boom, now this is alive. And if I check this box, it's sending out right here. If I check this box, it's sending out here. If I check this box, it's sending out here. And if I check this box, it's sending out on the 4th lane. Each lane can be a different MIDI CC. Just click on it, choose what MIDI CC you want. So you can do some really cool things with a single mod wheel now. You could say MIDI CC 1 is my input for mod wheel, and I could have it sending out on multiple CCs to something that I've programmed up. So this is a little elaborate for most synthesizers, but because we've taken this step of giving Omnisphere patches 4 places that can be changed in real time, it's important that we wanted to, and I really appreciate Shane helping out, just jumping on board like he did to make such a cool, useful utility. And we've made it available to everybody. And then he was like, let's put the Plugin Guru logo on it. And I'm like, oh, so kind. So thank you, Shane, big time for that. But if you wanted to use this with Airwave Volume 1, you'd go to an Airwave Volume 1 patch or multi, let's say ARP of Trance, and then you would just basically reverse engineer it. I would go to the mixer, I would solo a part. It's one patch, it's one os, and then if you look at the list, there's 3 things that are being changed with the mod wheel. Oh, I need to turn off this mod mate. If you have a box checked, then that changes the routing so it's no longer standard. So it's doing all of that all by itself on the mod wheel. All I have to do, let's say we want cutoff and resonance, but we want the bit crusher to be on breath controller. So now, and maybe I want this to be more crushed. This is your strength slider. This is the current value that it's at. So like if this is cut off, this is currently where it's at, and this is how strong that the controller gets to be. So I can say breath controller, I want it to do full range on the bit crush. And I could go over here to the wave shaper and maybe also right click and have this modulate also the breath controller. To really, okay, so that's one sound. Go to the next sound. Move the mod wheel. It wasn't doing much. Kick drum wasn't doing much, but maybe I want to have this kick drum, which is part 3. Since there's 2 layers, it might be easier to go to the effects and see if there is something that has a volume. Yeah, see, he's using this for a little bit of air. don't really need this. So let's go to Utility, Imager, right click on this and say assign this to foot controller. Controllers, foot controller. And then I want to invert it. And I want to give it full range. So that way I can have the kick drum go away on this other slider here, right? Let's see, what control am I? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get this over here so you can see it. So I set up by right clicking on this and I assigned it to be to the foot controller. Oh, you can't see it that way. I'm sorry. But anyway, I did that. And then over here, you hit invert and I set the strength up so that this would go down to where it hits the red dot. That means that it's at max value. And then the last part is the art base. So part 4, one sound. There's 3 things on the wheel. So we could say, pretty subtle. So I would do something like maybe go to the kick. And let's have this kick, part 3. Let's go to the effects. Since this is Airwave Volume 1, the auxiliary bus didn't exist. So we're going to go over here and we're going to modulate this. Can you see? You can see everything, right? So we're going to go over here to the controllers, to soft pedal, and choose that. And yeah, I could see it didn't show that quite right, and this is in the way, so get rid of that. Oh wait, no, over here. So by having soft pedal, that means I can go to here, I can add a huge reverb, proverb, make it nice long reverb, splash, full mix. Now, oh, what did I do? This is why we're not going to do this to all this library, because it takes this type of arduous tasking work. Show, I said foot controller. Oh, did I mess up my control? 1, 2, 4, 67. 1, 2, 4, 67. Let's make sure we turn off all the checkboxes so it's just throughputing everything. Okay, that should be doing right here. So let's go show. It's muted. Okay, that can't be the case. There. All right. So now I have nice big reverb thing. So now, and because there's so much effects on the reverb, it would take a lot of work to get the mix and make it to work to where you have 4 controllers that are really standing out because they weren't designed that way. So the chances of going back and redoing that are pretty slim. I have to be honest. That is an awful lot of work. That, you know, as you learn and grow and stuff, some things you can implement in the past and some things you can't. So, but I'm showing you how you can do it if you want to do this to a particular one that you use all the time for working with. It's not that hard to take it solo, look at the parts, and find out where you can split things up to be amongst different controllers. This has always been available. It's just a decision that we decided, you know, solo. And then go here and look at the list of what's happening. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 things happening in this one patch on the mod wheel. So it'd be really cool to go to some of these and say, no, let's use this to the breath controller and breath controller. So now I can do the filtering without all the other stuff changing. The effects don't change. I can add that if I want. But they're separated. So that flexibility it's so nice to be able to have it so you can change the filter and it doesn't do the noise aliasing thing at the same time. So that's why we took these steps to add these additional controllers and try to bring all of you guys on board with how to do this if you want. So, yeah. Hey, Kindle, welcome. It's awesome what action is to give the music textures. Yeah, modulations can get very daunting. It's definitely one of those things where you just got to keep it compartmentalized and remember what your goal is. That's really important. Your goal is to do this. How do I do this? And then you can go from there and figure out what tools in the plugin you're using you can use to accomplish that. All right? So, any questions? I'm going to try to set something up here real quick. I wanted to show... Oh, there's one more thing to show before we even get to that. So, this new library, as I bounce all over the place, as Skippy likes to bounce all over the place because that's the way Skippy works, this library is the first library that will be coming out with the updated bonus presets. And it's a lot of bonus presets. So if you go to the ARPs and you look at the ARP list, let me make sure that my OBS software is showing this properly. So if I pop up here all the way, because this ARP list is rather, it's long to start with. When you get down to the bottom of the list, oh, you can barely see it. So let's go over here. Let's pop this display up higher there. So if I get to the bottom of the list, see here where it says ARP 2019, that will be the new Plugin Guru ARPs. And it's now broken into folders for starters, ARPs, bass, chord, melody, drum and perk. So you'll have, and as you get to drum and perk, it's actually broken into folders below that because we can do nested folders. So it's no longer the sprawling list of stuff. It's been organized. If you go to the envelopes, the bonus envelopes have also been organized to basics, rhythmic, and now the new sidechain category. All the side chains that came with Omnipulse are going to be included with Beautifully Broken. And as soon as we can get to it, we're going to do this to all 35 other Omnisphere libraries so that they all come with the bonus, but it's only Beautifully Broken to start with. Effects, when you get to the effects racks, it's now the Plugin Guru Effects Racks 2019, and it's no longer a sprawling list. It's nested folders by categories, and I pulled out a whole bunch of saved presets from all my different favorite auxiliary bus settings. So you have these to work with. You have combos, which require both a layer A and the common. You have distortion, and then you have the distorted guitars, which all come from Mega Magic Guitars Volume 2. These are all the cool guitar distortions that are more for mellow guitar sounds that are then distorted. It doesn't sound so good on bright samples. Just so you know, like call up a sine wave and put those on there. It's really cool. Filter settings, effects, which are cool and radical and wacky. Your mix, if you want something that's just to put on the common chain to like make things. And the standard compressor limiter is a great place to start. It just gives you a little extra higher quality audio to work with. And then also phaser presets. So those are all separated for ARP, effects, envelopes, and granular. We'll also have all the presets from Creature-esque, including the new ones that we've done for the drum loops. There'll be drum loop presets for this, Beautifully Broken drum looper, and a couple others. The vocal one that I'm using for the my vocal mod, those things will all be included. So all of the bonus presets went to like it's over 600 bonus presets. It could be its own $30 library, but I'm going to include that inside of every library as a free download, just because I love my customers and I want you guys to have access to these. And we're kind of getting rid of the parity of this library has special things. New libraries through the year might do that. Will I make a library only on vocoder in multi-mode? There's no vocoder in Omnisphere. I'm not sure what you mean, Ivar. These libraries look cool. So many reasons to get Beautifully Broken in addition to the sounds. Yeah. It's going to be a whole thing, and it'll be a stupid price because it's the NAMM show and I love my customers. So that will be coming out and lots of fun. So yeah, any questions? Might make this just an hour long. I wanted to show one more thing. Hey, Harold. Welcome, buddy. See lots of happy faces, happy names. So yeah, the bonus presets alone could be their own library, but instead of trying to do that and explain how it works, they're just included. I'm going to do a video that will have both instructions on ModMate as well. Maybe I'll make them separate videos because the people that want to watch ModMate don't necessarily want to watch about bonus presets now. I was almost going to include ModMate in the bonus presets as part of the libraries, but I'm going to keep it separate because ModMate's really special for, yeah, there is no vocoder inside of Omnisphere. You can synthesize the vocal samples in cool ways, but it's not a vocoder. You need a vocoder effect to run the sound through that has that capability. There's cool things I could take. You can do things like take this, an effect that I love, and there's so much you can do with this. Under Creative, the quad resonators, right? And you have all these presets for different types of chords. And then what's really cool, you can go over here and modulate this. Let's say we want to modulate this with, let's say, a random LFO, sync it to 8th notes, legato so it's triggered. You could do all sorts of crazy things with this type of stuff. Right? And you can control, if you go over here to the more, there's spread, tone. So if you want them to places to do cool chordal things, you could easily get into all crazy stuff with that. Record one chord, record it as audio, make another chord, record that as audio, and now you switch between the two as audio files in your sequencer, and you're on your way to making a really cool track. So couldn't you just add the Effects 2019 to the account instead of having to download the whole library? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do something like that. Good point. It'll be either way. If it's a new library for you, you can download the full download. Thanks for bringing that up, Philip. That's a good point. I mean, you could just download and then unzip, and there it is in the folder with everything else, but we can make it a separate download as well. It's just, I've asked for my e-commerce guys, the company they have, to make a place where I could put comments with a file, because I'd love to explain this does that, and here's like Super Macho drums. It's so many downloads, and I can't explain anything about the downloads next to each file, which I wish I could do. But yes, we will do that. So there's things like that that are going on that are really cool. The bonus presets, I've showed you that. Some of the other patches and Beautifully Broken, let's do that, because I want to show you. Mainly, we're going to do it this way. I want to see if I can get this to work. I've got my Pulse here. The Waldorf Pulse is such a wonderful synthesizer. Let's see if we can get this to work. So if we go up here. To get this to work, I need to have audio input and have this from input 5 and 6, input 5 and 6. And then I need to have a new MIDI that is set up to, if you want to control something in your setup, let's see here, let's see right here and here. I'm just gonna have go over here, say external. There's this area called utility, external instrument, and right here I could say MIDI Express port. I think it's port 8. Let me see if this shows up. I didn't get a chance to check this before, so I might not. Or 7? Is it 7? There it is. Yeah. Let's see. And we have some sort of a delay. See? Cool. So this is the pulse. Oh. Can you hear that? So loud. Let me do this. Let's go to my console and turn down the input levels because it seems to be really hot. There. So over here. Yeah. And let's link them. There. Okay. So I am controlling my pulse, which I'm trying, let's see, I don't think I get the camera to show this, but next to the controllers, let's see if I can pop it up for a sec. Oh, it'll turn off and stuff. Is the Waldorf Pulse. It's a single rack. I love the daylights out of it. And it's got such a great personality. And the low end is so sweet on it. And I just recorded a whole bunch of different things. If we say initialize and go to the patch, to the samples, we can go over here to Beautifully Broken. This is not a huge library. This is not one of those where it's like 500 samples and all that, because it just, to be honest, it's overwhelming and everybody gets lost. So it's a whole bunch of nice basses. Single samples. I have yet to do something with that, but I will. There's liquid string. I made some custom patches on the pulse and then I would sample them. So and it's kind of fun. The pulse is monophonic. So to play this and to be able to go over here and say, no, I want it to be 32 voices polyphonic. It's something you just can't do with their pulse, right? So it's cool to be able to have it work here that way. And there's a handful of other pads. That I thought would work really well. For making broken, so. I took this and I made an Arco kind of patch. Let's see if we go BPM, not Airwave, but Beautifully Broken. Where is the Arco? Right? Oh, that's sweet strings. Yeah. And you could easily make this stronger, take it down an octave, so forth. So those samples will be used as well as Omnisphere samples and the drum loops to create this library. So it's coming along really nicely. Yeah, Waldorf products sound really good. I will say I bought the Blofeld, and it's not analog. The oscillators are digital, and it makes a big difference. It's a different personality. It's far more tame and polite. But if you listen to the pulse, it just has this sound to it that's just great. Let's see if I... That envelope is just, it's all in the envelope, my friends. And the oscillator. It's just such a great sounding synth. So I've sampled a lot of things. Omnisphere is only one sample. I've sampled 15 samples across the keyboard for future development. So great synth, great synth. So it was really fun. I spent like a week recording and working with it, making patches and then sampling them. So that came out really cool. Okay, any questions? I'm so glad you guys showed up. It was like, I'm like, well, I should, what, you know. It takes work to do these every Saturday. So I think we'll do one more next week, which will be with the release of Beautifully Broken. And then the following Tuesday, I'm leaving for Los Angeles for the NAMM show. Be where you go and want to do when you work with CCs. Be where you... Yeah, know where you want to go when you're working with CCs. That's the hopefully the lessons and stuff. Watching someone that says, I want to do this, and then they do that gives you like, oh, that's the tools that I use to do such things. So let's initialize this. And actually, let's do it this way. I want to start. Yeah. I want to show you a cool trick first. I'm going to save a preset. Because I'll save some stack presets as part of the bonus presets. That's the one area I included with one library way back in the day, right? So I'm going to save this as save stack preset. And this is the Beautifully split groove. Okay. So that way I can initialize so that I start from scratch, nothing up my sleeve, right? And then just go to stack, turn it on, go over here, say Beautifully Broken split groove. And all that does is it maps out the up to 8 patches across the keyboard. That's all it does. That's all the stack mode presets do. And then at this point, there are 4 empty containers that I can now add things to. So to start with, the first one is going to be a drum loop. So I haven't used, I think I wanted to use Sunshine. Oh, and that's Mr. Waldorf still playing away. And the first thing I have to do, like I said, is this default is middle C to play and sound right. So I need to transpose this up 2 octaves. Now, at this point, I can transpose around. If I want to break it more. I want to add effects, now remember this, when you load a patch into a multi, you can now start to edit it and you're not changing the patch. This patch here, until you go up here and you say save patch quick, that's the only way you would overwrite the existing patch. So I could go to this and I could say I want to put like maybe a radio delay. Or say, no, I'm just going to use the auxiliary send. And let's set this up the way I want it to be. And I want to go over here and I want to... And here's a high pass filter that you can... Yeah. Now, if I wanted to make this broken... there's all sorts of ways to do it. You could use toxic. Run it through a wave shaper. Just so you know, toxic is basically this wave shaper effect as an effect. So you can use it on the effect channel. Over here you have other controls which you'll see and recognize as being controls that you have, although here you do have a filter which is really cool. Let's say post. Pre and post says where do you put this filter. If you put it pre, then it's filtering the sample before it goes into toxic. If you put it in the post, it's now after all the effects, so you hear it more. It's doing controls filtering both the effect and the sound. That's what I want. And then if I wanted, I could right click. Let's randomize this. Cool. Cool vibe. I just wanted to find something to like trick it up a little bit. And then let's say let's modulate this with a wheel and invert it. So it makes the drum groove kind of go away in a way. And other things take over. This is just on this one patch. So you kind of want to like do these things in steps. Now, one thing I haven't set up in the multi-mode, there's two ways to use this. Right now, as I play a note, it plays. I let up, it stops. If you go over to the live page, you can turn on latch. So now I touch it, it's latched. And then I touch it again and it stops. This is one of the cool things with the live mode that Eric and his team set up, because they want it so you play a synth bass and then you hit latch. Now it sustains that sustain of that bass. So you can go to another patch and you can play pads and stuff. It wasn't necessarily designed this way, but it works this way where it can also trigger the ARP to start. Oh, it's designed this way. Of course it was designed this way. I disregard. So bass. So let's go to part 2. And I've made all these basses we could start with. What I want to do. Let's use that bass, and I need to go up an octave. Now, do I want an ARP on this, or do I want to... Let's have you guys help me out. So... So, should this be ARPed or just a bass? What do you guys think? Should the bass be doing something when you play a note or just grooving? Let's do this. I'm gonna go to part 3 while you guys tell me what you think. You guys, this is crowd created. So let's go over here to Beautifully Broken. I have some other keyboard sounds I haven't used yet. So I wanna use maybe the Dyna. Now this has a metal tone. And a sine wave. I need to get more attack in this, so I'm going to assign this to the filter. Maybe I'll have that also on the filter. Just a little bit. So I'm using my ears, listening to the harmonics and how they work together to shift and adjust the sounds that a piano needed to cut through more. And this bell harmonic, if I reset this, I want it to cut more, so I'm What's the vote? ARP it. Okay. You guys crack me up. Okay, turn on the ARP. Oh yeah, that's cool. Done. No, I'm kidding. So let's have some fun. Let's see, make sure you guys can see. If I go over here, get this to come down a little bit so I can see. I have to have so many things I need 3 displays now. So if I go to the Guru ARPs, let's go to bass. And now, I kind of like the timing, but it's too short. Now, there's 2 ways you could fix this. You could make the ARP longer. That doesn't fix it, does it? So this is one where instead of the ARP settings, you need to go to the envelope settings and make the release. It's really short. Let's link these so that we can do them together. There. Needs to like naturally decay out. So it's a fun trick with these guys to make the ARP really short. This is just a trigger, and then at that point, the actual shape of it, if I bring, right? It's just a trigger. So now I can have just a super short envelope or a long envelope. And because I am Skippy, and I like to do silly stuff like this, I'm going to modulate that so that, let's do this. Let's stop the drums. Right? Let's just look at A for a minute. I want the longest, and I want to be in mono, which I am, which means I can let it sustain really long. But because it's mono, it will cancel out the previous note. If I don't have this, it becomes mush. Right? So turning on mono with a long envelope is a cool trick because it can sustain forever when my hands are off it. If I play to a new note, it's never muddy. So with basses and long envelopes, make sure you look at your mono mode setting. Change it from polyphonic, where you can play chords and sound horrible, to, okay? Now, this is what I'm doing is I'm planning the longest release it will be allowed to be. And I can even go over here and I can control the shape of the release a little bit. If I want it to be more exponential, fades out faster, but it's more natural, or like this where it goes and then just stops. This is why the curvature is so nice. You can Then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say new modulation routing. Let's see. I didn't have any to that, right? Right. Okay. So I'm going to say I want... There's a lot of stuff going on already on the effects, on the mods. Two is not so much. So 2 is kind of my default for envelopes, actually. That's why it's not doing a lot. So I'm going to say breath controller, because that's the slider number 2 here. Breath controller. And I want to have that change. And you can't right click on these to do this. There is no right click. But when you pull down the menu list, it's there. Amp, envelope, release, trim. And let's invert it. And now as I bring this up, it's going to be going reverse. Listen to this. So as I bring this up, it's bringing this slider all the way back down here to the very beginning where there's no release, right? So I find the value that I want it to be up for it's just the shortest. And then I have this slider here. And now when I bring up the mod, this for breath controller, now I play the groove and I find where I want it to be. I listen. You can't do this without having grooves and other music happening. Trying to program patches without putting them in context is almost suicide. You have to hear how it's going to work. Right? And then I want something harmonically to happen when I do that. Just having the bass release go, that's really not that noticeable. It will make a change, especially once I put something on top of that. So I want something else to go, something, right? And it's really dark, which means you need to use distortion or sample rate converting, something of that nature. So let's look at our effects on the bass. And there happens to be a nice distortion right here already in place. Thank you, Skippy. So we can go over here. Let's assign that to be breath controller. Let's see what else. Yeah, that'd be cool, right? I'm moving the slider. I hear it change, and then I go, I want that to change. So now I just right click on this and I say modulate that also with the breath controller. And I want it to go in the opposite direction. I don't want it to go this way because this is a high pass filter. High pass filter, here's all the available bands that can be going into the distortion. Right now it's up here. So anything in the low end is not being allowed to be distorted. That's why when I bring this down, more bass harmonics are coming in and being distorted. Right? Right here, it's just like tickling that little tick, tick, tick frequencies. So if we invert this, short. So now we notice that a lot more. And if we wanted to, we could make it even more noticeable. Let's see how it works in the mix. Let's turn it down to where it should be in the mix. Now, what's bugging you guys? Hear the hard spike of it? It's kind of getting to me that it's the same all the time. If I move the sample start, and let's look at our arc. What if we had it so that we had it when it was smooth? Oh wait. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum. So this needs to be really strong. I want these to be where it goes to the sample start. Just so happens Omnisphere has no problem doing this. All you have to do is right click and say modulate this with velocity and invert it. See how you see the velocities? Now it has some dynamics in the bass. This is like what you do with a bass player playing. With synthesizers, you can't do that. But with synthesizer parameters, if you take your time, when it's a full attack, right? And I need something more interesting. I need something else to happen to that keyboard sound. So let's look at this for a minute. For one thing, I got the wrong. I've got controller 67 giving me full reverb. So. I think some sort of a tremolo or something going wow, 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 wow would be really cool. Don't you think so? So let's look at what we could do to this. Let's listen to this layer. Okay, that's not the layer we need to worry about because it goes away. This is the layer we need to worry about. So go to the effects layer for B. And let's go, there's so many ways to do this. Let's go to modulation to like the analog vibrato. And sync it, keep it stereo. Eighth notes. That might be cool, more like that, but bring down the depth so it's not quite so radical left-right. Maybe it's not synced. So we need something else. I think this is nice for an underlying thing, but there needs to be a rhythm. So let's go here. Let's take this and let's duplicate it here on part 5. So part 5. Part 4 I already have set up for being like a top keyboard thing for leads or something. So I'm just gonna leave that. And let's add another part. So I now have part 5 ready to go. You'll see it lights up when I play the keys. So I can go to part 5 and I could either turn on the synth and come back here. Come here, hello. And let's do this. Here's a cool trick. So I'm gonna take this bass. I'm gonna copy this art pattern. Copy the art pattern. Go to part 5. Paste that art pattern. So I had that exact same art pattern. Let's go over here and instead of up and down, let's make it chord. And let's make it more interesting. So let's go using a sample from the new library. So we'll go, you have to hit sharing before you can see Beautifully Broken. And let's see which one of these. Nope. Now, as you can see, I kept the attacks intact in the samples, but it doesn't work for a rhythm part. So you move the sample start a little bit later and try that. Let's get the release up. Ah, that's better. Pretty stagnant. So we could do some things now to mix up so that it's not just playing the same sample. One nice thing is to modulate the attack of the sample. Just doing that a little bit. There. Now it doesn't sound like Here's Without It. same every time? Isn't that nice? No, it's not. Much nicer. And then we can do more things to it. Let's filter it. Right? Stuff like this. Since it's following velocity, that means that'd be really nice with like a splash of something. And let's make it high pass so it's not so much of the low bottom. And let's have that. Let's do this. I'm gonna move this to the auxiliary bus because I want this to be something that is controlled just on this sound. And I want to do a reverb trick to it. So let's copy this effect, no effect, bring this up here, but I'm going to right click and I want this to control 62 soft piano, can bring it to be more, and then go to auxiliary bus and I think paste. Did I copy it? Yep. And I say 100%. So now it's 100%. This is why I couldn't do it on A, because I want it to be 100% into reverb. So the reverb is only going to be on the delay taps. Hear that? I couldn't do that if it was on the layer A channel, but by moving to the auxiliary bus, I can tell the delay to be 100%, and then I can put reverb or something after that, and because this is a small amount sent, if it was like this, it'd be too much. And it'd actually be more than that, so. Isn't that cool? And because it's in that frequency range that's up there, I might want to emphasize that with an EQ. Like bring this, like, just enough so that it really sticks out. So here. If I play the right notes. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. You guys like this? Yeah, Big E, I was thinking this is your vibe, man. You guys that love chill, down-tempo, hip-hoppy kind of... That's pretty cool. All right, so what should we call this? Oh, and we still have to do some sort of a cool... I want to do something cool. Loving it, cool. I'm not sure. Now, the other thing we need to do, we got to do more to this. It's not done. We're in baby steps. One of my other favorite tricks is having something bring harmonia in. And this would be fun to have harmonia bring in an octave lower. And yeah, maybe an octave. Yeah, maybe we just need one that's an octave lower. And let's see. Okay. Pitch bend, or the breath controller is the channel that doesn't have a lot happening to the piano. So let's go over here and say breath controller. And so now, let's pan them a little bit. And let's have it maybe start a little softer. To do this, I'm going to bring up the total volume. This is not modulatable, so I'm going to bring it up a little bit, and I'm going to bring this down. And then I'm going to modulate this with that same breath control. So this way it will seem like it's starting at a nice mix. And then as I bring up my mod wheel, as I bring up this controller, It gets a little bit louder. And let's also have it modulate the pitch bend, or a filter cutoff on the breath controller. That's really nice. And then let's go over here to the mixer, start it softer. Cool. I need the piano to be louder. Cool. So what should we name this? Okay, I will. I'll tell everybody. I'll tell Eric hello from everybody in the Guru clan. We got to think of a name for this. And we need to have some sort of, I'm hearing something that's like a, that's got a cool shape to it. So let's go to part 4. And believe it or not, you can use anything to make a transition effect to start if you want. Let's use a pad. Let's bring them both down to 3600. Turn that down a little bit. I am in good mood. And then let's modulate. Oh, we've got LFOs doing things. Let's say modulate with an envelope. It's going to say envelope 1. And do the same envelope for both. So we say modulate this other one with envelope 1. And the envelopes, I don't know if you know this, but the latest version of Omnisphere, the envelope's default shape has changed. It's no longer the the stepper. It's now a pulse. So if we hit lock, we can take this and we can... So, if we're playing the groove, windshield wipers. That's close, but it's not there yet, right? So, because I have multiple layers, I'm thinking of doing a shortcut. I don't think I need this, so I'm going to put a filter right here. Let's use a power filter. And we want to have cutoff with depth. Now, let's see, what's going on? That's cool. The synth waveform is not so cool. So maybe I don't need that. Maybe I can just use... Cool. I like that. See how it works. might have to. I needed to start. The problem with the effects is you don't have a note on ability, right? So, but that works. Stuck on a balcony. Stuck on a balcony. So let's go over here and instead let's find a way. We need to use a stronger filter than this. We need to use like a 24 dB. Right? So we're going to, it's still got the pitch fall happening. We just need to assign this to be modulated with an LFO. Are these free? Okay, I don't think it's assigned to anything because it's still set to free and I never use free. Sync. Get this to be about 50%. Default should be triangle shape. And the envelope for pitch release, I want this to be longer when I let up on the note. Hello. I've noticed this challenging. That way I can make this release longer of the amp and it'll fall back down. Or it'll keep going down when you take your hand off the key. So. It's not the right sound. So now you need to go looking through the samples. Let's see if we have something from Beautifully Broken that would work instead. That's not quite the right. You know, it might be cool to use a noise, and that might be something from Omnisphere. So we go core library. I don't want to accidentally grab something from the wrong place and say noise. And we have just a couple of noises to play with. So it's like, oh, that sounds good. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. The other thing I'm thinking about, I'm noticing this, the processing power is getting heavy. It's cheaper. Maybe I can't use so many notes of polyphony, especially if they're sitting there hiding until you bring up the controller. Because Harmonia hiding is cool, but each one of these, if you turn on all 4 of these, it's playing 5 notes of polyphony with each note you play. And if you have it hidden, that's cool. But if I'm using it in a layered context like this, then I have to like doing the whole businessman economical, well, maybe we should just turn this up louder. And a cool trick that's cheaper than 3 notes of polyphony is to go over here to the EQ that's in here. Let's see, is there there isn't. So let's bring up an EQ, 3-band. Have this like about. Make sure it's just EQing the pretty frequencies, like 8, right? And then right click and assign that to be on the breath controller control so that I'm just changing the harmonics, which makes it sound like a whole bunch of oscillators are popping up, even though it's 1 now. So it's brighter. And I killed a whole note of polyphony in doing that. So that's more economical than having additional notes of polyphony, because each note of polyphony needs all the filters, all the effects, everything that's happening doubled to that note. Cool. I need my drums to become a little bit more attitude-y. So let's see here. We could go in. I mean, this really cool, the stomp comp. Bring it to stain. Maybe we want to go over here. Maybe I bring this down, the resonance, and then I have maybe foot controller. Yeah. So right here, I'm going to have just a cheap reverb, the easy verb. Just give it a little ambience. Cool. Oh, you know what? We can't allow it. That synth part's too clean. Needs to be broken up a little bit. So let's turn on the wave shaper. Crush Force shapes it to wrap it around the, it's not just a, but it actually has more input. It's like an input of the sound. I can't, the wave shaper is not doing much synthesis. Okay, let's modulate this with a randomizer. There. Now it's into the broken vibe. And it's a little bit too much, so take the mix and bring it down. So there's a little bit of broken stuff happening, but not as much. And then right click, and since you can control everything with everything, have breath controller do this to bring it up more. Or have it be on foot controller. Yeah. And then we need to have some sort of cool splashy reverb or something happening. So right click, assign this to sustain pedal. So now the mix can even get more sent into that auxiliary bus. Cool. 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 Okay. So, are you going to do machine expansions? That's something I'm looking at. Longest stream of the year? Oh my gosh. See, this is what happens when I start programming is, yeah. I lose track of time. I can't believe 53 of you are still hanging around with this. That's so awesome. Okay, so let's save this. Bit glitchy with all the controls set up. Yeah, exactly. How about groove control? I know. BPM split. Found you on YouTube. Cool. All right, found you on YouTube. Your chords make the song. It's just a... you know, I'm guilty of that sometimes. But what's fun is I see videos of people playing patches and multis and stuff, and people come up with their own songs to the sounds, which is great. That's what I love. Found love. There we go. Found love on YouTube. Oh my gosh. Okay, so save, and I gotta do just the basics. John Limcool, plug in guru. Pluginguru.com. Fun multi rated during the January 2019 live stream event with group with participation. All right, I'll fill in a few more details, but we've made it. Found love on YouTube. I must say, I love these in-ear monitors from 64 Audio. If you guys need ear monitors that really can, I mean, to use I've used my clips that I had for years, and then I got these a year and a half, 2 years ago. And it makes so nice. I really hear clearly, almost more so than my speakers in my room sometimes, the mix. And so I get done here, I pop it on my speakers, and I'm like, usually there's a lot of work to do to get things, especially bass in, separated from the drums. And I can tell that's sitting just very, very nicely. So, okay. All right, let's wrap this up. I want to go have every Saturday after my live stream, I go to Fire on the Mountain, have my favorite chicken sandwich. So it's time. That's my treat for doing these for myself. So anyway, thank you for watching. Shout outs from wherever you're out. I'll do a shout out from here. Yeah, the focus is the thing that a lot of people kind of, you gotta be focused on the big picture, how things are gonna work out. So shout out from Washington, Ontario. Shane, dude, thank you again so much for making Show MIDI and ModMate available to all the customers and people that would love to simplify controlling how to work with these things. This is such a wonderful utility. So I'm going to do a separate video showing how to just covering this part just all by itself. So we'll cover that out. From Holland, right on Bernie, my brother, Ken in Nicaragua, dude. Tell them at Fire in the Mountain. Yeah, right. No, it's okay. Thank you. Germany. I'm going to be in Germany in March. Going to Treppendorf. So that would be really cool. Norway, Heidelberg. It's fun. So good to see you guys. I got one more week to do on this library, and I have some other stuff to do. It's crazy what's going on in the week. But it's good stuff. If you appreciate this, I would appreciate if you took the time to go buy a library. So many of you own so many. I really appreciate that. Just putting it out there. These are supported by my libraries. There's 70 of them or so at the website. So Treppendorf is close to Frankfurt. It's the headquarters for Tommen Music, their headquarters. I'm going to be there for a couple of days for stuff that's going on. And then I think I'm going to be going into Berlin for a couple of days too. We'll see. It's kind of being worked out as we go. And I'm coming to Super Booth. So I'll be there for that too. Grand Rapids. Yes. Thank you, Shane. You're very welcome. I'm happy. All right. Thanks for joining yet another fun live stream. And 2 thumbs up. I'll see you guys later. Have a great week. Creative music writing wherever you go. Think of cool new tunes. You got my hopes that happens. All right. See you later.